Welcome to Cashflow Savannah, episode 60. I can't believe we've made it to 60 episodes. It's just me today. I don't have Chandler, unfortunately. Today, Hurricane, I'm forgetting all the names, Milton, is hitting Florida. This is our third hurricane in the row. We've never had anything like this. The reason Chandler isn't here is because he's running hither and thither, trying to get houses ready and houses back to ready. We got hit in August, and then we got hit in September, and we were just coming out of Hurricane Helene, and now we have Hurricane Milton. So it's been busy, to say the least, but we still are continuing to make content. We're so proud of what we're doing here in Savannah. And I was getting together with Mike for lunch, and I said, let's record it. We always talk real estate. Mike is the owner of the local We Buy Ugly Houses franchise. He's been investing for a long time. He's a wealth of knowledge. And, he's been through a lot, and that includes losing money. And one discussion that we got into, which I think is extremely valuable for you as the listener or the viewer, is that Savannah is a difficult market to comp. And, with Mike buying things off market like he does, and with me selling things on market like I do, it's a tough slog. It's really a big part of our job to comp properties. And we see it all the time where people that aren't familiar with this market, they get in trouble because they assume that houses that are close to each other have the same value, and they don't. So definitely tune into that. Mike's also a master networker. If he's in the car, which he's always in the car, he's on the phone. He's always communicating. He's always getting information. He's just a great wealth of knowledge. I know you'll enjoy listening to him. So we welcome you to this episode. We're praying for Florida. This is going to air well after Milton has passed. We do have many, many thousands of Floridians in Savannah right now. That's part of why we've been so busy. Sid was here. We have been getting properties back online and then instantly renting them back out to families in need. I'm very proud to say that we had a few medium-term rentals that were not rented, and we just went ahead and leased them for less than 30 days. And I will apologize right now to the city of Savannah. We don't have short-term rental certificates on them, but for the purpose of this storm, I just felt like it was more important to allow people to stay in there. And we're just really proud that we're of service to a lot of people right now. It is tough to have to evacuate your home. And one thing people don't realize is that when people evacuate from a storm, they're not going to just come with their wife and kids. They're going to bring their pets, or they want to bring their pets. That's very important to them. And at Sid Was Here, we're very proud to be very pet friendly. Now, the owners dictate that. We don't force it on any owner, but we have many, many owners who are pet friendly. And so in a time like this, especially when, like I said, we have a medium-term rental sitting empty that is pet friendly, and we have so many families in needs with pets. We made the conscious decision to say, hey, these 3 or 4 properties, let's just go ahead and rent them for 5 days. We'd rather do that and help someone. And, we may have to answer for our sins later, but we're going to be a part of the solution, and we're not going to, let a house sit empty. So it's really been a long hurricane season. We're going to get through it. I'm telling you straight up, I wouldn't live anywhere else other than Savannah, Georgia. But please enjoy this episode with Mike. He's a really wonderful human being. And always feel free to reach out if you want his contact info. And now I will bring in Mike Bucciantini. So you're going to offer on that house. Are you trying to buy it from the seller now?
No, I don't have the heart to give him an offer.
Okay.
Because of the current rental climate, current mortgage climate, I don't want him to hear what I would offer. He would lose a substantial amount of his investment, and if he calls me back in a couple months and is super desperate, I will consider giving him an offer. But at this point, I've given him my best advice. Talk to a good property manager, get it rented, get the 3rd unit completed, get it rented, and hold on to it for at least 5 years.
Yeah, no, I agree. And real estate,
and eat your loss slowly.
Real estate can be very forgiving over time, and that area at some point is going to appreciate. I'm personally trying to help that happen.
I am as well. I love that neighborhood.
Me too.
I know I've got plenty of property in that neighborhood that means a lot to me. The people in the neighborhood are great.
Yeah.
A lot of the older people have been there for decades, and the stories they can tell you, the history they can tell you is amazing. So
I just feel so bad. So yeah, no, I have said that for years, just like, why I guess I'm assuming it was an agent situation that helped them buy. I have no idea, but like I can't say enough to people. You need to communicate to your agent what you're going to do with it and make sure that they understand what that is and if it's legal. Because there's a lot that I guess lie. I don't
want to poo-poo on agents, but I'm about to. Okay?
I've seen it too.
And so I tell investors, do not use a real estate agent. Okay? I don't want you to use a real estate agent. I want you to use a real estate professional, investor agent. Do not use any old real estate agent. Just because they can get access to MLS does not mean they're investor friendly.
Right.
Just because they say they're investor friendly because they cut you a deal does not make them investor friendly. If they have never done a flip, if they have never rented a property, they don't own their own investments, run as fast as you can. Run. Because they do not understand your business at all. I have another gentleman that does exactly what I do with the same company that is dealing with that right now. Chris. He was advised by a real estate agent, the best use and best value for property. And that's not what actually occurred, So, and you've seen the same property, and there was a lot left out, a lot left to be done on that same assessment, and from an investor perspective,
it's
so.
And people need to have no problem saying, "Hey, I'm looking for an agent. This is what I'm looking to do." And when they say, "Yeah," ask them, give me show me some deals you've done.
Mm-hmm.
They should have no issue going here. Look at this address. Look at this address.
What they don't understand is that when you're hiring an agent, it's a damn job interview.
Yeah,
you're hiring a contractor. If you are willing to hire a guy to work on your house without doing a background check and expect him not to run off with your money, then be my guest.
So true.
But that's what's basically happening.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Nachos. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's how you look at that. If you are talking to these agents, you need to verify that looks good. That they are going to be what you need. Hey, you know what? I'm looking at buying 10 flips over the next 2 years. Okay? How many flips have you personally done? Not how many have you helped somebody do. How many have you personally done? How many rentals do you own? How many rentals have you owned? Are you trying to buy rentals? Like, these are the questions you should be asking. Investor style questions. It's not, hey, have you sold a house? Yes, every agent has sold a house.
Right.
Every agent has helped buy a house. Those don't do you a damn bit of good as an investor. There are plenty of agents out there. If you're just buying and selling a stinking house, great. You can find an agent, they're a dime a dozen. If you are investing in real estate, you need to understand and have that agent that understands investing. Well, it's two totally different worlds.
It's real money. You're not spending $20.
No.
And if I can say, I've been investing here for 20 plus years, and I've had people call and go, "Well, will you give my wife part of your commission?" No. Why would I do that? Like, what value do they bring to this market? Oh yeah, nothing. And I'm like, P.S. You're not even paying my commission. The seller pays my commission. Well, what do you even care that I get paid if it's free?
And here's where I go with that as well. Okay. If you go and get an agent to give you a discount, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, do you go and buy your stuff off Temu? I mean, let's be honest. It's a discount site.
Right.
You get what you pay for. I have never discounted an agent's commission simply because I have an expectation of professionalism, and I'm willing to pay for that. I've discovered that most discount agents, they're not going to meet the standard that I require for buying or selling property.
Right.
So I want that professionalism. I want that. Honestly, the job for them is to buy and sell property. I don't want to have to touch a damn bit of it. That's their problem. Let them handle it. They are my expert. If I'm paying an expert, I'm going to pay expert prices, and I'm okay with that. We're going to write it off on taxes anyway.
You get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was trying to think of the other Chinese site that had that great reputation. Starts with a W.
Alibaba.
Well, no, that one actually does because you can buy it in bulk. But I'm thinking of the other one, the cheap. You look at a skateboard and it comes in and it's this big. Wish.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Wish. Well, everybody that ordered from Wish wished they didn't. I mean, you'd order something from Wish, and on the pictures, it was great and fabulous. And then you got like your outdoor furniture, and the couch was this big. It was for Barbies, you know?
That's hilarious.
So,
well, as a manager, I've had people bring me short-term rentals to manage, and I'm like, that's not a short-term rental. It's illegal.
mm-hmm.
No, it's not. And I'm going, yes, it is. Call the city. Here's the phone number. And then they call me back and they say, oh, I have a medium-term rental. And I'm like, I know.
So,
because I'm a professional.
And you know this house, so I won't give you the details on it. But I sold a house last year to a person that bought this house, and I didn't find out until the closing table. We were literally signing documents, and the closing and the seller or the buyer's agent says, yes, they're going to use this as a short-term vacation rental in Windsor Forest. That's not legal.
No, they're not.
You know?
Okay, did you say you're at the closing table? Did you tell them, or did you let it go?
We'd already signed documents, so at that point I can't, you know. And so, like, we were literally just
and that's
having a
not
discussion.
on you.
Yeah,
that's on them. But
that's the difference. That agent,
Windsor Forest,
knew this going in.
The agent knew.
She's the one that told me. The buyer wasn't there. The buyer was in Atlanta or somewhere.
That
the buyer
is
was
complete
remote.
Incompetence.
And that's what I'm talking about. Not having that agent representation that understands what you're going to do costs you money, because now
a lot of money.
Yeah. Now he was expecting STVR revenue, and then the best he's going to get is midterm. So.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's crazy, Mike.
But you know the house. The one with the pool I did.
Oh.
Last year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it's a lovely medium-term rental.
Definitely not cash flowing like they expected.
Yeah, it's tough to make money, but the whole purpose is to make money. So how about, that's why we're here to do this, is just to keep educating people.
Absolutely.
I mean, I want people to buy in the Savannah market, and I love investing here, and you and I both have done really well. But we also either know our crap or find someone who does. They always say the most expensive handyman is the cheapest handyman, right? It's the same exact concept.
The biggest regrets I've ever had were from either trying to cut a corner or go cheap.
Yeah.
Every time I've done it, it's kicked me in the head, you know? A couple things I've learned to avoid early on. I didn't learn early on, but I've learned now. If they say they're a big time investor and they say they've never lost money, they're either lying to you, you know, or they're not that big time.
They're full of crap.
Because if you're 20 deals in and never lost money, you're either only doing partial deals, you're doing something, you don't have any risk in it.
Right.
You know, I learned that the hard way, you know. And trust me, I've lost plenty of money on some deals. Me and you have discussed that, you know.
Yeah, I have too. I mean, that's how I used to learn. I didn't have real estate books or podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, and truth of the matter is, you know, it was daunting. The first time I had to bring a $50,000 check to a closing table to get rid of a property.
I haven't had to do that, Mike.
Oh, I have.
I don't want to. I'm going to learn from you and not make that mistake. That's disgusting. That's sickening. I know you. Did you go throw up afterwards? That's not easy.
I think I went and fried my truck.
I can't. I honestly.
That's not even the biggest check I've ever taken to a closing table.
Back in 08, 09, that was happening everywhere. It was crazy. People just paying someone to take the house off of them. It was like
one of my advisors, he got into this business at the end of 07.
Oh no, that's awful.
Okay.
That's terrible.
He says his first year in the business, he was into it $1 million from paying people to take the houses he had rehabbed, you know? And he finally started seeing some light at the end of the tunnel at the end of 08, early 09, because they were starting to buy them cheap enough and get revenue back. But they were at the point where they sold 5 in a row for at least $100,000 loss, where they thought they'd have $100,000 profit, you know? And so this is why when I tell people, if you're talking to these guys that say, oh, I've never lost money, dig deeper into that.
Did you start 5 minutes ago?
Exactly. You know, everybody I know with 20, 30, 40, 100 houses under their belt, every one of us
for sure
has lost money. You know, I don't care if it's rentals, rehabs, whatever. We've all done a deal that just did not work out to plan.
Comment on this statement. YouTube and podcasts are the new HGTV. Remember when everyone would watch HGTV and then think they were a flipper?
They still do. I literally had that conversation with somebody 2 days ago. They're like, I was watching HGTV over the weekend. And I could feel my brain start to bleed, because it's always, they're like, I think I want to start flipping houses. I'm like, oh, do you hate yourself? I mean, do you have some self-loathing? Because everything on there is half data.
Yeah.
It's funny because you look at these giant numbers. Oh, they made $100,000. They don't talk to you about holding costs. They don't tell you about insurance. They don't. I mean, simple problem that I'm dealing with right now because of all the hurricanes, getting bound insurance right now, and you've dealt with this too. Getting insurance bound right now in Savannah is extremely difficult because the insurance companies are terrified. So they don't talk about that stuff. The hours and hours you spend trying to solve the problems that come up. They make it look, they make you think that finding the roaches in the closet are the worst thing you're going to find. No, I will take the roaches all day long because I got a pest control guy for that. He's even been on the podcast. I'll take those all day long. Give me roaches. Give me, poop on the walls. Those are easy solves for me. Trying to bind insurance, trying to find new funding when you get a lender that just ghosts. I mean, we've during COVID, we had multiple lenders that just ghosted people the day of closing.
I've had that.
So
for clients, it's brutal.
Exactly. And so if you don't have anybody with experience with that, like, what do you do?
In the last, and I do a good volume as an agent, because I work with so many investors, but I've had, out of probably 20 closings, I've had one close on time. Mm-hmm. One. And it's because we're now prepping for our third hurricane.
In a month.
And the insurance, no lender is going to lend without insurance.
Yep.
And then you've even had them waiting on, what is it called? Surveys. Like,
mm-hmm. My favorite right now, my favorite meme I saw today, it says, I would like to unsubscribe to my Hurricane of the Month Club. Because that's how it feels right now,
Yeah.
Because this is getting a little ridiculous. So
we weren't even done with all the trees down from the last hurricane, and we've got another one coming tonight.
Mm-hmm. So,
but yet I love it here so much, and I'm never going anywhere else.
But that's one of those that we understand that. We understand that's just a part of our business. We know that that's got to be factored in, going into it. And if you don't factor that in, you don't play that what if scenario. I mean, a lot of lenders are really leery right now.
Yeah.
Whether it's conventional, DSCR, or some of your fix and flip lenders. They're a lot more cautious than they were a year ago. Mm-hmm. I have a lender right now that reached out to me because they were like, Mike, we're going to lose $250,000. Do you have any suggestions on ways not to do that? I gave them a solution.
Wow.
And we think that they will break even in 5 years. So
the lender's taking back a property?
They are taking back a property, and I gave them a solution. Instead of just eating the money now, they can do a break-even point and maybe even make money on it in 5 years. Creative funding, creative financing type deal. So
I've talked to so many lenders lately that are taking back properties. Mm-hmm. I hate to hear it, but that's why, it's good that they're so tight on reserves. You gotta be able to weather stuff a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people don't plan, a lot of lenders require $20,000 in the bank. And they're like, why do I need to have $20,000 around? Well, in this business, you can go through $20,000 in a week.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's true, Mike.
You get electrical and a plumbing job done in the same week, and quite often there went $20,000, or a roof. Geez, what a roof costs now,
Well, I've got a honeybees issue in one of the properties under contract, and I'm shocked how much honeybees cost. Mm-hmm. It's going to be, $400 to $4,000, and they can't even give us an actual quote. It's like, for bees?
Yeah, because until they open it up, they don't know how many bees there are.
Right.
So,
I'm like,
I actually bought a house because of honeybees once.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the buyer's okay. They knew the house needed work anyway, but it's still just like, stuff like that, you don't even see it coming sometimes. And you've got to have the reserves to where you're like, okay, it's another $5,000. I mean, I personally had to do that. I just went way over on a rehab this year.
Absolutely.
Way over. The freaking house ended up needing French drains. And I knew we had a flooding issue. It did. I knew it had flooded in one of the units. It's a triplex. But when my contractor did it, I was like, hey, I'm okay with that. You know, even though it cost me an extra, I think, $12,000. But it's just like, now it's done. I'm going to keep it forever. It's done right. Like, it's kind of brutal, but I don't know. That's just how I see it. I'd rather do stuff right than just Band-Aid it together.
See, and that's also the big thing. There's a lot of these HGTV and YouTube professionals. We see those rehabs and we laugh because we know them. We can spot them from a mile away. We walk in and we go, the first words are, what the hell? And me and you, we're going to send each other pictures and go, you'll never believe this.
Look at this.
We're going to pick on you. Okay? That's just what we're going to do because, well, we know better. We always know the people that have been here a while. We know their work.
Yeah.
And the people that are going to be fly-by-night that come and go because they do shoddy work. They cut corners. And we will never recommend one of our clients buy one of their properties. You know? I mean, I see it all the time. You know the one that we advised on Wilmington?
Yeah.
That's a great example.
Terrible workmanship on a very expensive home.
Exactly.
And I don't know how they ever sold it.
They sold it for what was offered on it previously. Months and months later after holding it and spending tens of thousands of dollars more on interest.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's another thing. You know, when you've got people advising you that know your market, know what they're talking about, listen. You know, trust the people you surround yourself as experts.
Yeah.
You know, I have a lot of people I bounce ideas off of. I always have an appraiser in my back pocket, a good agent, you know, because I know a lot, but I screw it up sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, I've gotten a lot wrong.
Oh, gosh, me too.
You know?
Well, I was actually talking to a hard money lender the other day, and he said he's talking to, he has some people that he's, you know, loaned him hard money. They're now in the rehab phase. And he goes, these ding-dongs are arguing with the contractors over $25 charges. And I'm going, hey, dumbass, you know you're on 100 money, right? He's like, they're just blowing through interest as they major in minors. And he said, I don't know what's wrong with these guys, how they don't realize that every day I'm adding to their bill. And I mean, it kind of made me sick. I was like, ugh. But it's like, if you're going to use, especially if you're using hard money, speed, and more speed. Like, you can't just drag it out 6-9 months and think you're still going to make money.
It's one of those that when you look at your exit strategy, if you go in with only one exit strategy, don't bother going in. Like,
yeah, I agree,
run.
Mike.
You know, if your only exit strategy is to flip it and sell it, or just flip it to rent, or just, I don't care what it is, if it's just one strategy, unless you want to sit that cash there for the next 5 years, run. Like, that's how I honestly look at it, you know?
You don't know what's going to happen.
Because there is no room for error when you do that.
Yeah.
You're stuck. So.
Yeah, I mean, oof. And always, you know, add another 3 months, you know, whatever you think. Like my quad that I just did, I was kind of sick to start it in January, but I knew I knew the money was going to be tight. But I told the contractor, I said, we have to start now because I have to run it in summer. I had to. And sure enough, we did not finish until, I'm going to say, the first week of July. Like, of course, it ended up going so much more low.
What date did you originally tell me?
I think May 15.
And what did I say when you said that?
You said, not a chance in hell.
I said I would love to believe that, but with the scope of work you had, I was more realistic.
Yeah. Well, and I understood that too. But yeah, it just, it was so painful. But we did finish it in summer, and we did get it leased up, and now it's such a great performing property. But I have, you know, timing is everything in real estate to a degree. You've got to be fast. You've got to be efficient. You've got to get it cash flowing once you finish. It's like,
And that's quite common with people from out of town. They don't have the strength of contacts. And here, I mean, over the last 5 years, we have got a lot of fly-by-night vendors. I have fired a lot more vendors than I've ever kept. I hate to say that, but gosh, we burn through vendors like they're nothing, you know?
We do too.
And, I mean...
You have to. When they're good, use them, and then when they stop being good, you drop them quick, and you find another one.
And that's the problem.
Because they all kind of peak and then drop off. It's weird.
They all start off really well. You know, the first job is phenomenal. The second job is great. Third job is okay. And then they have one that may be phenomenal or absolute shit show.
Yeah.
And you never know which one it might be. So, like, it's...
Well, I help people find vendors, so I take that very seriously because I'm putting my name behind that person, you know, so I try to be very careful, but even then it's not perfect, but I always try to give a couple of options. The very first deal we did together, let's go back a couple of years. When I sold it to your client, it came with the contractor that did the work at the price that we suggested, you know, so like that's a way to work that stuff out, you know. We still do something like that. You know, we've got a different vendor now, but they're still doing that stuff. So these are options, you know. Yeah, that's a huge service. So, it's a big deal to work with someone that knows people.
And then he sold that thing for a profit, didn't he?
No, the tenants have messed up that sale. The tenants are now going to be homeless because they were not allowing showings. When we put it on the market, we were trying to keep them in the home and find someone that would take it with tenants inside. And they just would not allow showings. And so we said, well, here's your 60-day notice. So they should be out actually this weekend. And I hated that. I wanted them to stay. They were just kids that thought they could ignore everything and it would all go away. And it was the owner wants to sell. So but
we've experienced that before. You're currently managing one of those. I'm sorry. But these are the things that come up that you don't think about. You know, people like us, we do this every day. We still don't catch it all. We don't know it all. You know, I've got guys. I got a friend of mine who's been doing this for 30 years, and I run into him at Home Depot. Hell, I ran into him a couple weeks ago. I was like, "Hey, when I grow up, I want to be like you." He goes, "Oh, wait, I was trying to be like you." You know. Because we both have different experiences and different levels. Like I've got a property going under contract in the next week that I'm going to offer to him because it's in his wheelhouse. It's outside of my wheelhouse. I will do that house no justice. I'm going to offer it to him first where I know it will get the right treatment. And we swap deals sometimes.
That's awesome.
Because he'll get properties that, you know, he bought too many by accident. He'll call me up and go, Mike, you want this one?
Sweet.
I need to offload, you know?
Nice.
And so, like, those relationships matter, you know? And so knowing that you have those people and the ability to call them up when you have a deal, you know, matters, you know? And you want to get that with experience and being in that market or having people in that market that can work with you on that. So
Mike, you're the We Buy Ugly Houses guy. You have huge name recognition because of your, you know, brand, and that's fantastic. So, you know, I know there's a lot of guys always kind of chasing your tail and it's competitive, but I'm just talking you here in Savannah. So tell me about your lead flow. Like how many leads do you get a week? And then out of those number of leads, how many are you able to close? And how long does it take?
So it varies. I mean, I have some months I don't get a single lead, you know, it's crazy. I mean, I'll get a month like this month where I'm buying 3 deals this month, you know? And so, like, it's when I first bought the franchise, they said, "Oh, this business is very lumpy." You know, they didn't tell me it was going to be a bat across the head lumpy, but that's how it is. You know, some days you'll get 30 leads that won't get you nothing, and then you'll get 3 in a row. It's like you start walking into property begging not to sign a contract. Please don't take my offer. Please, you know, you're afraid of giving offers out because you're like, I need to find the money to buy these things, you know?
That was me in 2022.
Exactly.
I bought so much stuff and I didn't even want it, but it was such a good deal I had to, and it was kind of nauseating. And
as investors, we are guilty of that. You give us a nickel, we're going to go buy a damn house with it.
Yeah.
You know, we all do it. Every last one of us that I know that does this for a living and loves it you cannot give us a nickel without us thinking, oh, I can find a deal for this. You know, let's go spend this nickel that I need to pay other people and buy another asset that, you know, okay, well, you know, because it's such a good deal. I'll spend that nickel, and you know, it'll return in 7 years. But you know, I'll be poor now, but it'll be okay in 7 years. You know, and we're all guilty of that.
Yeah.
Every last one of us, we've all done it.
It's horrible. It's a horrible addiction, but I just was like, I can't say no to that.
You know, I won't lie. You know, if I have to choose addictions, I'll take this one over meth. You know.
Yeah, gosh. Yeah.
You know, mainly with this one, I get dental care. That one, you get dental care for different reasons.
Yeah. Oh. We've talked a lot about contractors, and I know that you had, like, most of the money that you've lost has been because of a contractor, or was it was an employee that was managing your contractor, so I apologize. Talk about that a little bit. That's kind of a powerful story. I don't know if you've ever shared.
Other investors have heard it here locally,
right.
Because it's my warning to people. You know, I was in a heavy growth phase. We were trying to expand and do new things, do big things, go big. So we brought on a project manager because at the time I was buying too many houses. I could not focus on buying houses and project management and admin and. So we brought on a project manager, and his entire job was to meet new vendors, get jobs bid, inspect work, and approve billing. You know, basically, we only pay for completed work. We don't pay for anything up front, ever.
Smart.
Because if you give them money up front, they never come back. And if they do, they don't come back and do a good job. Like, we've just learned. If they can't do at least a little work up front, you know, even if I have to supply the materials and give them paid for the materials, send them to Home Depot and then put it on my credit card, that's fine. But we don't provide the labor money up front. We just don't, because we've learned the hard way, you know. But in his case, what he was doing is he would approve the work. If they just said that it was done, he wouldn't even actually go and looking at it. He was just, they said it was done, so it was done.
And they figured that out.
And so what they would do is when we come back and we're like, oh, well, we need to touch up here. We blue tape the house. They'd come back and bill us for rework.
And he'd pay them.
And he'd approve that too because, well, the job wasn't done right the first time, so it required rework. Where had he just gone through and inspected and done that initially, a lot of that rework wouldn't have been required.
And because they were paid already, they saw themselves as done, and then they saw themselves as coming back and doing extra work where you should have been like, you're not done yet, you're not getting paid till...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that was the biggest hit we took. And it was not just one property, it was across 7 properties at that time. Because at one point I was rehabbing 9 houses at once.
That's too many.
I now limit it to 2.
How long did it take you to catch up to how terrible of a job he was doing? Because I know you were very busy at the time, and that's, that's when these things happen.
We were about 6 months in before we realized something was awry with one property. And we sat down and we actually did an analysis of this property's rehab. Now that budget on that rehab was $75,000. He ended up spending $146,000 on that rehab.
That's awful. So your profit was now gone.
Long gone. I was in that house for $45,000 more than it could sell for. So we have now, realized this. So he's got, at that time, 6 other projects going that he's doing the same thing on. One of the projects, we realized he'd spent $64,000 of his $90,000 budget, and we had demo done.
Good.
All we had done was demo for $65,000.
I mean, was he drawing from hard money? Like, how is he even getting all this money? How is he getting his hands on it?
So he would submit them to me, and because he was doing his approval paperwork, we were paying out off of completed work. And by the time we realized that he was not actually inspecting, because he was actually submitting forms, hey, we did these repairs, this, that, by the time we realized, because most of it on a cursory look, if you walk through the property, it looked like it was okay done, And if you didn't take time to look at it, and until that first one really didn't math out.
Gosh.
We didn't catch on.
And was he trying to get paid himself more quickly? So that's where he started cutting corners, because he wouldn't get paid till the job was done?
Exactly. So he was, and ironically, he had a pay structure that if he kept us down to budget, if he cut the budget, if he was able to keep it under budget, he got half of whatever our savings was. So if he saved us $1,000, he got $500. If he saved us $20,000, he got $10,000. So it was very incentive based, and he still
Didn't work out.
No. And so, like, just because the incentive is there doesn't mean that the personality is there for it. So that's something to consider, you know. And it was an extremely painful thing to learn, you know, extremely expensive, you know. I'm still dealing with some of that stuff. You know, we've gotten rid of the last properties, but
For you to pay 45, just making crap up, but for you to pay 45,000 just to get rid of the property, where's that 45,000 coming from? You're having to borrow that, right, and pay it back later.
we ended up in the hole a lot. We are just digging out. It took a lot of change, and it sucked. It sucked bad. But the fortunate thing was I built good enough relationships with the people around me at that point.
That's huge.
That they were willing to step in and help. And I will forever be grateful to those people, and I will continue to do business with those people for that reason.
And you know what, Mike? That's why this is a relationship business, because I'm dealing with the same. I'm paying off a contractor today that I've owed money for 2 months because my rehab went so far over, and he's been so gracious with me, and I've been in communication. But like, yeah, you got to build those relationships, and when people take care of you, you got to take care of them too.
Absolutely.
That's one thing you've done really well.
I'm famous for really those ones that took care of me when the times were bad. Like I tell people all the time, my HVAC guy, I get people that offer me cheaper work all the time. They'll beat his price every time. But you know what? When the crap hit the fan, he stuck through it with me. He's been one of my most loyal vendors, and I'll probably never change ever, because they've stood by there. Same thing with my flooring guy. When the crap hit the fan, he actually saved my butt on a deal.
That's huge.
He took a risk. He put his own neck out there, saved my butt. I'm forever grateful. I will continue to do business with him until he decides not to do flooring anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
No, loyalty's huge. You can't buy loyalty.
No. And in this business, there are times where you do run out of money. Like, I don't know a single investor that does this seriously that has not run out of money for one reason or another. You know, whether it be, the rehab went over, the holding time was a lot longer than they thought. They had a break-in and stuff got stolen. I mean, there's so many reasons that stuff goes wrong, They end up getting divorced halfway through a rehab, seen that one.
I've seen that quite a few times.
I mean, so, like, there are existential circumstances that come up that you just can't plan for. And being prepared for that, having the network for that, we get calls quite often from investors that realize they've screwed up. And they go, how can I save it? And I've advised some of them, hey, this is your best option. Some of them, it's like, I'll be honest with you, like the one we were talking about earlier. I don't think there's a good way to save it. It's going to be ugly no matter what. Do you want to draw it out and make it look like a genius move in 10 years? Or do you just want to eat it and leave?
I have a few of those.
Yeah.
I just held on to it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't $160,000 or anything, but still, like, if you hang on to it long enough, if you can weather that, you'll be okay. Like you said, I agree. He needs to get at least some cash rolling in.
Absolutely. And like Grant Cardone says, in real estate, everybody looks like a genius after about 5 years. I mean, you hold something for about 5 years.
You can make it, yeah.
You can make it last. I mean, it does. It works out.
This survive till 2025, it's a real thing.
I don't think so. I've had a great 2024. Even with the mess I've had. I have.
I've had a tough 2024. And,
I didn't say it's not tough.
It's been very tough. But I'm seeing a lot of people losing money right now.
Oh, I am too.
Because we went from the peak and things are starting to slide.
But if you remember this time last year, I told you I went ultra conservative because I saw this coming.
Yeah.
I felt like the market was going to start to shift. And so I started doing deals that only were great deals. I stopped doing good deals.
Yeah.
I wanted that thing to make serious money, If it's only making 10 grand, I'm not even looking at that thing. That's not a deal because, that's
you gotta have
nothing in this
margin.
world.
I agree. But I think now, me and my buyers just the last few months, it's been really good pickings, and I love that. So it's kind of like now is the time to. Everyone's out of money. You know how they say the recession really doesn't start till everyone's out of money. A lot of these people that were saying they're making all this money are now acknowledging that we're not making much, and we're probably going to bail. So I'm seeing a lot of really great opportunities.
And that's the thing. We are seeing opportunities. We have not seen that the buyers or the sellers' mindset change on the wholesale, on the distressed property side. They're still thinking the properties are worth top value, and we're letting those sit for a little while, let those simmer, because it just gets worse. Case in point, I had one that called me before. What was it? Hurricane Diane. I don't remember the first one we had this year.
Debbie.
No, that's
Debbie.
it. Yeah. We've had so many. They've all started to run together.
They have.
But the first one, before that, they were like, "Oh, I'll never sell for that price." Well, when the hurricane rolled through and the rain rained in their house, I closed in 2 weeks. Now they're going to
take your. Oh gosh, that's funny.
So perspective.
Yeah.
It's one of those that they at the time like, "Oh, that's nowhere near enough." Well, then it rained in their house. And
crazy.
like, okay, I want it. I want this gone.
So we survived Hurricane Debbie. You did fine. I got my tail kicked managerially because I had a lovely drive-by and then a flooding in Richmond Hill. That was fun. Yeah. That was Debbie.
I lucked out. I won't lie. I was very fortunate.
You did well. And then we had, what was the last hurricane? I forgot. Whatever it was 2 weeks ago.
That starts with an H now. I done forgot her name, or his name.
I know we've got Milton coming tomorrow. Anyway. Yeah. You and I both got our tails kicked on the second one, whose name we can't remember. We're so devastated. Talk to me about how that was for you personally. That was tough.
That was tough because I lost power and internet for a week, and because Savannah was pretty much down, nobody had internet. I couldn't coffee shop hop like I normally would.
Right. You live in Savannah. I'm more out of town than you. And
technically I'm rural because I can throw rocks at the city line, but I'm not in the city.
Oh, you're just outside the city limit? You're in the county?
I can smell the city, but I'm legally in the county, which is also why it took me extra time to get power, lower priority. But I have that benefit of being close, so I was able to coffee shop hop. Well, what I didn't think about is our corporate is so worried about data security that because I kept hitting different ISPs in the same day, they thought I got hacked. So they locked me out of my corporate accounts.
No, they did not.
They did.
But you're always mobile. You're always roaming around.
Yes, but I don't hit the 3 or 4 different coffee shops in a day usually.
I got you.
So I started looking erratic. So they locked me just to make sure that my data was protected, which protects our clients' data, which I'm greatly appreciative for because data is important. Data is very expensive, and that's where a lot of investors don't understand it. If you expose the client's data, the breaches on that, costs on that will bankrupt you in a heartbeat. So like having that is a great benefit. The problem is now I've lost access to all my systems, trying to run a business without email, without CRM, without it turns into a mess fast,
And you barely had, at least for me, we had hardly any cell signal. It was like we would go days without cell signal.
Yeah, I'd pick my phone up. I'd drive through a neighborhood, through an area that has cell. I get like 20 text messages that I hadn't received. I think it was 3 or 4 days before cell service became reliable again.
Horrible. We've been through way worse hurricanes and had better cell service than this, whatever the name of that last storm was.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look that up because now it's bugging me.
I got my tail kicked too. The thing that saved me was that we already had Starlink because we just had it as a backup. And I'm still on Starlink. We still don't have Comcast back. It's crazy. And it's been almost 3 weeks.
Exactly. We're just getting. I cannot remember that.
I can't either. I wasn't worried about it. I was like, it's not coming here. It's fine.
Helene
kicked my tail, Mike.
And it kicked a lot of our tails because we weren't expecting. It was supposed to go closer to Atlanta and avoid us, and it literally shifted overnight, 80 miles to the east, and it went from a minor impact to a major impact for us.
But we're not. We didn't have major property damage. I did have the soffit and fascia messed up on one of my roofs, which that's not fun. I still haven't even fixed it, but a tree took down like the edge, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
But we didn't get a lot of damage, but just no internet, no power, no brutal. When you're trying to do your job, and you and I both, we don't work, we don't get paid.
Exactly. I'm one of those guys that if I'm not selling property, it's there's no income.
Right.
So that is vital. we were fortunate we didn't have a lot of damage. But we had one of our properties that you manage didn't have power until this past Sunday or Monday. Week and a half after the storm.
Tough. That is so tough on people. There's a lot of people, and that's it. Our friends in Windsor Forest. They just got power back, I think, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what? Like, Windsor Forest is right in the middle of the city.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the city. Like, but that's how, we just had trees down on all kind of stuff. She said the wires in that neighborhood were like a bowl of spaghetti. She said you couldn't make hide nor hair of anything.
Well, and that's the problem, because those trees are just getting old enough where you're starting to see age problems.
Yeah.
We have a few tree species that are not considered legal here anymore. The Bradford pear being the primary one.
Really?
It was a
I've
decorative.
tons of those.
Exactly. You know why they're not legal? Because in hurricanes they split really easily.
Great.
The biggest recommendation for Bradford pears is cut them down.
You're making a lot of sense of why my yard looks the way it does.
Georgia actually was offering a credit for every Bradford pear you cut down a couple years back, and they may still be doing that because they're an intrusive species.
Wow.
They're actually bad for the environment here. And so, like, if you go to the Lowe's and Home Depot right behind us right now, they don't sell them anymore. They haven't sold them in several years because of the issues that they have. They're a very popular decorative tree, but they do not hold up in the weather here, and they shred, they split so easily. And those pears, those trees that were planted in the 60s and 70s, well, now they're of that age that they can't hold themselves up when the wind comes, and they split off. And that's what a lot of Windsor Forest had in it. A lot of these older neighborhoods built until the 80s have those in them.
Okay, interesting.
So,
wow.
And you're going to see that, and that's something that you take into account when you look at these properties, and that's a little bit of information that, like, you being seasoned didn't even realize. But I know that because of just learning what I know about the environment around us. So.
But as an investor and a property manager, I have seen the value in A, having an AC guy in a property every 6 months, and B, having a tree guy going around working on stuff, because when you know you're going to have storm season coming up, you've got to get around and see what branches are over properties, and they've got to get trimmed back.
So
it's such a cheap way to handle that situation.
It's one of those things that the military preaches on a lot. Preventive maintenance.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yes, it sucks to spend money to fix something that's not broken yet. But you can spend $1 now to fix it.
Right.
Or $150 in a year to fix it.
Right.
I'd rather spend $1.
Me too. Well, and you know this, but I'm saying this for the viewer's sake. I had some trees in Richmond Hill at a property in the bottom, and the first tree guy, I knew they had to come down because they were about to demolish 2 garages, one being mine, one being the neighbor's. First tree guy gives me a quote, $12,000. This is 3 months ago. I'm right in the midst of this rehab that was killing me. I didn't want to spend it.
I remember we talked about that.
Thank God, found another tree guy that got it down to like 6, and he did it. And then when the storm came through, not one bit of damage on that property. And even though it was sickening to spend that $6,000, like, that was an investment, and I definitely got a return on that investment, because had I been buying the neighbor a brand new garage or myself a brand new garage, I didn't even want to think about it.
Well, and that's one of those things that when you look at overall cost, maintenance, you're going to write it off anyway. Okay, it's going to go against the profit of the property or whatever however you're doing it. But when you go, most popular stuff, plumbing leaks. You know how many rentals I buy because of plumbing leaks?
Yeah.
Because we'll fix it for $100. It's a faucet that leaks, which you can buy for $40.
Yeah.
But they're going to put it off for 5, 7, 8 years because, they don't want to spend the $40, and plus the $40 to install it. And now you need a cabinet, a floor, a subfloor, a joist. Now you're
the ceiling of the property below it.
$3,200 into a $40 repair. And so a lot of people forget that. They don't look at the long-term effect of that. So when you get into that, you dissect your costs. It's much smarter to spend that $40 now. And like my vendors know on rehab, if you have a repair and it will not pass a home inspection, and it's less than $1,000, don't even call me. Add it to the bill. Bill me. Because less than $1,000 and it has to be done, do it.
Right.
Above $1,000, call me. Let's discuss how we can do it the most effective way and keep that cost down. But under $1,000, don't even call me. It's not worth my time to even discuss it, you know?
I agree.
And we see it all the time, you know, where they find something that they weren't expecting. You know, oh, we need to move this T. It's going to cost, you know, $250 to move this over here, but it'll do this, you know? Okay, do that, you know? My favorite was a galvanized pipe held to another galvanized pipe by a PVC T fitting, which was basically just glued and gobbed into place, you know? I mean, that's a perfect example of something that I don't know who did it or why, but
yeah, that's a multi-$1,000 repair.
Exactly.
Later.
And so
that's so horrible.
I mean, and so like that's the stuff. Like, do it right the first time.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to do it right 30 times.
I agree.
Or do it half-assed 30 times. So.
Thank you so much for your time. It's always fun having lunch, and we always end up talking about all these things anyway. So
absolutely.
I'm glad we're finally kind of recording it, and like you're a huge wealth of knowledge for this community, and I really appreciate how much you support this investor community. Like I've never seen you not pick up the phone and help someone.
I firmly believe that by me helping them, it helps me.
It does.
That the whole mentality of there's plenty for everybody. You know, there's not scarcity. There's plenty of property. There's plenty of stuff going on. There's plenty of deals. Do they all fit what I want? No. Do they all fit what you want? No.
Yeah.
You just got to find the right person. You know, and if you live in that mindset, then helping others, you know, is how we get to the investors we want around.
Right.
You know, the successful people. So.
Can someone get on your direct buyers list?
Absolutely.
Okay. How do they reach out to you if they wanted to do that?
They can email me, mike.bucciantini@homeinvestors.com. You've got that. You're going to want to type that one out. And you've got my phone number, and they can text me.
Yep.
Don't call, because if you wait more than half a second, I will hang up on you, assuming you're a robo-dialer. So, and generally just text me and yeah, because when I'm in a meeting or something like that, I don't answer the call anyway. So
yeah, smart.
But I always return them.
Thank you for being willing to just talk, and I'm glad you're able to help the gentleman that bought in Bronzeville, thinking it was the historic district. And
I don't know if I helped him or hurt his feelings more yet. So we'll wait a few months and see.
We don't do anyone any favors being dishonest to them.
No. Yeah, and that's one thing.
That's a very short-sighted
I'm going to be a brutally honest person.
Me too.
You know, I tell people all the time, run. I mean, and it's funny because I see a lot of deals before other people do. And I got one offered me yesterday by a wholesaler. And I laughed at him because he offered it to me for a price $80,000 more than I offered for it. And she turned me down to take his contract 8 months ago. They still haven't closed it.
Of course they haven't.
You know, because they don't have the funding. Well, I make offers that I can close.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know.
No, absolutely.
But that's experience.
You've got plenty of it, and that's huge.
Not all good. But I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, no, absolutely. Welcome to Cashflow Savannah Podcast, something or other. I forgot to look up the number. I think it's like 60, something like that. And I wanted to open with this, Mike. Every day, 7 days a week, someone talks about you being on my social media. And I think you're more popular on my social media than I am.
Well, good, because I don't want to have to do it on mine.
But you know, it's kind of rude that you keep outshining me. It's a little hurtful.
Well, we have different aspects of this business.
Yeah.
So
you hold poo-filled money and I don't. So that has helped you significantly. Like that, in investor land, that's top drawer.
Well, I will dig a little deeper.
Yeah, that was fun. Actually, I was happy to be a part of that. Squatters, we have the same general joys in life, which is weird stuff, poo-poo,
I won't
squatters.
lie. I was totally expecting the wall poop on that one and didn't get it. So I was a little let down.
I think my viewers are a little let down because I didn't video enough when I had that on my walls.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, oh my gosh, more and more. And I'm like, oh, whoops, we already cleaned it up.
Yeah.
So yeah, hey, in the future, you better call me. If you have a squatter, you know I'm your girl.
I've gotten really good at making sure I don't have them often, I'm down to about once a year, if that now.
Okay.
We do a really good program at notifying, and as a general rule, I don't get a lot of pushback because we do get ourselves introduced to the neighbors, we get ourselves introduced into the neighborhood, and we know most of the code enforcement officers that we know are already on the property as it is. So, which ironically, the week we bought that, we got the first code violation the next day.
Are you kidding me? You're like doing a huge service to that neighborhood. What did they get you on?
The grass.
Oh, it is or it was. You've already fixed it, but
it was fixed the day after that. But we didn't even know the violation went out when we already, because the grass had already been scheduled. You know, some of the all the exterior work is pretty much done already.
So was it a warning, or did you get a fine?
It was just a warning.
Okay,
it was just saying, hey, please cut the grass. You know, because they'd been warning the previous owner almost a year. So.
The duplex that I stole from you, at the cost of $5,000, I got a code violation on that, and I couldn't afford to rehab it. Like they literally wanted me to replace the awning that I had yanked off, and I was like, it's cheaper for me to pay the fines. So I paid fines for probably 6 months. But he was right; it looked like crap. So I have a love-hate relationship with the code enforcement.
I have gotten a really good standing with most of them because I very early on open a dialogue, and I keep that dialogue open. I want that to be open and back and forth because they are my first line of defense against a problem at my property quite often. They'll be the first one to notice when somebody's broken in or something like that because they're in those neighborhoods.
Really?
They've reported. I've had 2 of them report break-ins. They also gave me a violation while reporting those break-ins.
So when they report a break-in, do they know you're the owner, or are they just putting a code violation? How is that work? I've never heard of that.
Because I've built a really good relationship with a lot of the inspectors in the area. They know when I own a property.
Okay.
I'll let them know if I know it's a really bad property. I'll reach out to them before I buy it and say, hey, what are your top 3 things day one that you want me to do? And say, like this one needed the grass, they needed the trees cut, you know, they needed, that's what I did. You know, I got them,
that's great.
Make them happy up front, and they don't bother you the rest of the time in the project quite often.
Yeah,
so.
I believe it. And, you know, this guy, I never did speak to him personally, but I paid the fines, but he did, as soon as I, you know, did what was on the list, he left. Like, which I appreciate. You know, what would make me crazy is if they just kept coming, you know.
Well,
it's like,
and quite often, if you reach out to them before they fine you, during the warning process, quite often they'll bump you down the road up to 6 months.
Really?
Quite often, if you talk to them, if you create an open dialogue and actually have that conversation, a lot of people will avoid code because they don't want them around. Well, the more you avoid them, the more they come around because now they're suspicious, you know. Whereas what I've learned is, you know, when we come in and say, hey, you know, we're going to fix this property.
Right.
What do you want done first to make your job easier?
Offense,
we'll do that.
Not defense.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's go out there and be proactive in the community, and that's what they want too, you know. So
how do you look up code violations on a property before you buy it?
I stopped. I call my code enforcement officers.
Really?
I call them direct.
Okay.
The good benefit of having most of them on speed dial is if I don't have them on speed dial, I will call the ones I do and go, hey, can you put me in contact with this officer?
Okay, that's smart.
So,
because I've done the thing, there's a website, I can't recall all the details right now, but you can go to the website, type in an address, and request all violations, but it gives you like 10 years worth of violations.
Yeah, and that's why I call my code enforcement, because they can give me the pertinent stuff. They and most of it is obvious stuff, you know. I mean, it's pretty simple stuff most often, you know. And so if you get out there and you're proactive about it, that solves a lot of those issues. It will clear a lot of those problems up by just getting in front of that ball. So.
Okay. One thing I want to talk to you about today, which I'm very curious, you started to tell me a story the other day and I said, stop, we're going to save it for filming.
Absolutely.
And our job, both of us as real estate investors, our job is to solve problems. That's why we make money, and that's why we deserve to make money, is because we're solving problems in a community and for renters and for sellers. And so, you know, you and I both work with out-of-state buyers. And Savannah, you know, this podcast and every conversation on it is about Savannah, Georgia. We're not here to talk about Atlanta. And so, you know, I can't even speak about another market, but Savannah is such a beautiful city, but it also has $1 million mansions, and right behind them will be Section 8. To be candid, would you agree?
Well, and honestly, here in Savannah, you can literally cross a street and lose $100,000, and cross another street and lose another $100,000.
That's true.
And that's what happened in this case.
That's true.
You know? And if you do not have a local person advising you, it can really kick you in the butt. You know, Sylvan Terrace is famous for that. You know,
where is that?
That is the neighborhood between Bull and Montgomery. Okay, with just north of Durant.
Oh, that's Sylvan Terrace.
Cumberland is in Sylvan Terrace.
Okay.
The one you manage for Julian. Is in Sylvan Terrace.
Okay.
And that neighborhood, for a while, got hit with a lot of that because it crosses out of Ardsley or out of the historic district.
It's between Ardsley and the historic district.
Oh no! It's
it's really adjacent to both.
And people would pull values out of Ardsley, and you can't. You really cannot do that.
I agree completely.
And so,
and it's rough.
And well, it's not what it was.
Between Bull and Montgomery has traditionally been very rough.
Well, and that's changing very rapidly. But I mean, just 4 years ago, like people would do that, and they'd lose 150 grand because they didn't know that. Well, now the values are coming in line, but they're still not what Ardsley is. You still can't comp out of Ardsley.
You still can't comp that with Ardsley or the historic district, even though it's getting better.
Exactly. And so that's one of the prime examples. We see a lot of that, crossing the wrong street, you know, if you're east side, you know, we were talking about one in Live Oak this morning, right? If you go just north of that, just north of Henry, same area, your values are $100,000 less. You know, up there by where I've got Wolf Street.
100,000 less north of Henry? From Live Oak?
Yeah, so if you're on Waters and you go north towards downtown.
Right, I'm with you. Yeah.
On either side of Waters, your values are lower.
That's true. Waters is tough. So, I don't know what the deal is with Waters.
Because for a long time that was Section 8, that was low income, and it's just starting to change.
They're pouring money in there.
And that's why I bought Wolf. There's a lot of really good opportunity there, but it's still several years away. Now, the problem is, if you're an outside investor, you're pulling comps and you go a quarter mile, you're in Live Oak. You're in
very different
Baldwin Park.
Right.
And Baldwin Park and Live Oak don't even compare. You know, Baldwin Park is top dollar.
Yes.
Live Oak is one step down.
Yes.
You know, and we see that. And that's literally 2 blocks apart. You know? And so you can't, without having a local representative, you can't understand that. You don't even realize you've made a mistake and you've paid way too much for a property. You know, the one that I was telling you about, we made an offer on that thing back in 2021. We made an offer on it.
Okay, and this is north of Henry.
No, this one is actually over in Brownsville.
Brownsville, again, very close to the historic district. Very close, but not
literally
the historic district.
2 blocks.
Right.
You know, 2 blocks.
I actually really like Collier.
I do too. But 5 years ago, Brownsville's top most expensive house sold for $153,000.
Well, the reason I like it is because of the appreciation that's coming.
Absolutely.
You can walk to the historic district from it, and they just stuck a multi-bajillion-dollar arena there, but yet all around it is still, you know, it's tough. So to me, like, that's where you're going to see the most appreciation.
Absolutely.
Would you agree?
Absolutely. And so, like, that one is a play if you get the price right or if you plan on keeping it a long time. Now, fix and flip in that area can be very difficult if you buy it wrong. And that's kind of what happened in this situation. We made an offer at $120,000 for a duplex with a house.
Ooh,
okay.
A house, so 3 units?
Triplex, technically a triplex. Okay. We figured it was going to take $250,000 to rehab this place, all 3 units. Okay. So we'd be all in at $370,000. Okay. Unfortunately,
which is still high for that area.
Well, it was at the time. My ARV at the time was $475,000. So
wow, for Brownsville.
Yeah,
wow.
At the time, and this was 2021. Okay, this is right when the market really started taking off. Okay, well now my ARV on that same property is $535,000. The person that bought it actually bought it for $365,000. So $10,000 less than our all-in number he bought it for. And then he spent almost $140,000 on just rehabbing the duplex. He's not touched the house.
And he did this by comping it with the historic district.
Yes.
And this is an out-of-state guy.
Out-of-state guy. He believes that the value is $900,000.
What?
Yeah, see?
You could get a whole block in there of houses for that, probably.
Exactly. And so if he was 4 blocks east of where he's at, yes, he could do that all day long. It'd be an easy sell.
Gosh.
Where he's at, he's 10 years away from that.
So
Easily.
how did he figure that out, Mike? Did he go to refi or something? How did he figure out that he was wrong on his comps?
He's trying to sell it.
And the agents all laughed at him?
I can't give you enough information to clarify where it's at, but
Like, who had to go, dude?
nobody has. It's live.
It's on the MLS at 900.
Not anymore. I won't give you the current price because it'll kind of clue you.
No. I'm not trying to in any way ruin your deal, but like,
Well, it's not my deal. I don't want to call somebody out that doesn't even know they've done it wrong.
So, wow. And I've seen this before. As a manager, a lot of times they're calling me in because they're going, well, I can't sell, so I might as well rent. And then they're like, well, that's so much below my mortgage. And I'm like, the rent is what it is.
That's exactly where he's at, because he is at a minimum of $500,000, which is ARV with the 3rd unit done, and the 3rd unit's not done. And so his rents won't cover his current mortgage. He's in a position where he's gonna lose money. Does he want to make it now or later? You know, like, how long is he willing to wait? And so not having that local advice, you know, there's a lot of markets I go to that I look at property that I'm not local, but I can do enough of it that I'm safe. Savannah is one of the craziest markets. I know a lot of investors that have come here that are like, I don't want to do it anymore. 1 or 2 deals in, they're like, no, too much risk. Too many things can go wrong if I don't have somebody local.
You can do very well here, but you can also really screw it up if you don't have the right advisors.
I want to thank Mike Bucciantini again for coming on. He's just been so generous of his time. I cannot say strongly enough how important it is, no matter what market you're in, to work with a professional that understands what you're going to do with the property. We want you to do well. We want you to make money. We want you to buy more. I very much look forward to a long-term relationship with my clients. I want them to buy multiple properties. I hope to manage those for them if they need that service. And we just do it again. I have one client. He's amazing. He texts me every 3 to 4 weeks. Here's my offer. Text. It's great, you know, that we've been able to build up that trust. So just keep that in mind as you're looking for services here in Savannah. Find people that are local. If they're investors themselves, they're going to really understand what you need to do. I also want to thank you for listening and viewing. I've been at a few functions lately and have had people say, oh, I listened to your podcast. And I'm just so honored. I can't even tell you, like, I genuinely want to put out the information on what a great market this is and educate. That's what we're here to do, is educate. This isn't an entertainment show. And it means a lot. And I appreciate those comments. And please come on the podcast. Like, we want to feature more local investors, just like Mike, that are living here, breathing here every day, you know, doing well. So really proud of this real estate community. And thank you again for listening. And we wish you all the best. And we will see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.